Hello, everybody out there, and welcome to our first episode. So what we're going to do, we would like to address topics that are controversial maybe, that are timely, and that are important both to African culture and to American culture. And we want to do this as someone who's from an American perspective and somebody who's from an African perspective, but understanding, of course, that we don't speak for everybody in America or everybody in Africa. So maybe, Paul, we can talk a little bit about who we are and maybe why we're interested in this topic, and maybe define a little bit about what we mean by the term wokeness. So maybe tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're interested in this.
Yeah, so my name is Paul Nkata. I am a clinical psychologist. Basically I practice therapy and, support people in rehab as well. And I'm a bit exposed to people of different cultures, working with the refugees as well as people within my country.
And you're based in Entebbe, Uganda.
Exactly.
Just
Just
right.
in
You
Entebbe, Uganda.
all your life you've lived in Uganda and you're a Ugandan citizen.
Yeah.
And so you've been around Kampala and Entebbe most of your life, that area, or you've been in other parts of Uganda?
Yeah, so basically I'm not born in Entebbe, though I'm staying in Entebbe currently, but I'm born somewhere close to Entebbe in Kampala. But, as we work, I found myself working all over the country. So I probably have experience with different cultures within my country. And I've experienced some cultures from foreign land because I've worked with refugees, as well as, some different stuff from the Western side of the world, yeah.
Okay.
From my experiences, I have my own opinions about our topic of wokeness.
So I'm an American citizen. I'm from the United States, but I'm currently living in Entebbe, Uganda. I was at one time in a research position at Western Michigan University in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I recently retired. So last year I retired from that position, but I was involved in science education. I have a PhD in science education, so my expertise is evaluation of math and science, technology, and engineering projects, assessing and evaluating the effectiveness of those programs. I've always kind of taken an interest in, in addressing some of these, hot button topics, but I think while I was in the university, it was kind of risky to talk about or address some of these issues openly and publicly, because people that challenge some of these ideas of wokeness oftentimes find themselves in a little bit of hot water. Sometimes they lose their jobs, and it was just kind of a little risky. But now that I'm retired, I kind of feel a little bit more boldness, I think, to speak up about some of these issues. And maybe perhaps I should have been more bold while I was in my university job. But I will admit I was not as bold as maybe I should have been. But now finding myself retired and maybe with a little bit more freedom to actually express some of the things that I want to talk about, I'm feeling a little bit more like I want to talk about some of these topics. We're talking about wokeness, and maybe a good thing to do would be to define what is wokeness, what do we mean by wokeness, where do we think wokeness has kind of gone off the rails a little bit. So first of all, what do we... you're a clinical psychologist.
Yeah.
So you might have a little bit of perspective on what wokeness is.
Oh, yeah. So it has been risky, it's actually risky even now, but he felt more risk while he was still employed and working. Well, I feel I'm in the same place. I'm still employed and working somewhere, but, I'm taking the risk. I'm more bold.
So he's more bold than me. I wasn't so bold.
Yeah. So anyhow, so
I commend him for that.
Yeah. So basically about wokeness, from the face value of wokeness, for what it should be, it was a good thing. Yeah, it was a good thing because, there are particular cultures or particular people that were, per se, less privileged, or you could say, people say oppressed, and I'm an African, so we went through slave trade. Yeah. We suffered with the colonial rule and all that. So there were bad things that happened, and wokeness was, needed. Because people needed to fight for themselves and, try to free themselves from the shackles of some of those malevolent acts that were happening then. But growing up in school, I always had a question in my head. I'm like, okay, so and are we being so some things can outlive usefulness, so yeah, there's a time when wokeness really was a must, it was inevitable. But then I feel it needs to also be it needs to evolve to where the society is right now, and I feel we're not evolving well.